Hi guys, welcome to XtraTalk, a very special edition. 2 fresh guests. But before I talk about our guests, I just want to thank everyone for the support. Thank you for the nice comments of the season. We love bringing you content. We love your opinions. We love your comments as well. Please, if you guys enjoy what we're doing, hit the like button. And please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so we can continue delivering what we're doing already. And we have big plans for next season, so stay tuned. Today we have a very special video, and we invited 2 non-Ajax fans, basically, to come and talk about Ajax, which sounds a little bit weird, but it's not weird because I will explain also the background of this. We've had a lot of football fans asking us in the success year 2 years ago, you know, in the Champions League run up to Tottenham Hotspurs. A lot of people being surprised how good Ajax is, how refreshing they're playing, etc., etc. So we thought, now that it's off season, let's invite 2 football fans, because I can guarantee you both of them like watching and like supporting their clubs. But I want them to talk also about Ajax and how they view the club from a non-biased perspective, of course, because everybody knows that Ajax is the best club, but maybe they think differently. So here we go. First, I would like to welcome Mike to our channel, the one that laughed very loudly.
Hi.
Hi, Mike. Mike, you're an Inter fan, you're a Paris fan, and let me just explain why. You're actually an Italian. You have been living in France. You're a very huge football fan, and yeah, you know quite some stuff about Ajax as well. And I would like your first take on a little bit of background, how you first came across Ajax, maybe your history about that, and also what you think of Ajax on a personal level.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you guys tonight. We've been having a lot of discussions through the years about Ajax, and I know how passionate you can be and how much it means for you. But I would say like that Ajax to me represents like the history, like number one, because you've been like so much of an important club in the European scene. That's number one. But it's not only about history; it's about like as well like how capable and how good you are like season after season to drop like new generation of players. And to me, that's what's impressive, because there's a tradition of the professional teams, but there's a tradition as well of like the youth academy, and that's what impresses the most, because season after season you release like new young players, extremely talented. And not only from a soccer perspective and not only from a football perspective, but I feel like from like a mindset perspective as well. Those guys are designed to be successful. Those guys are designed to be professional players. And that's pretty remarkable to see that, especially nowadays where football is about money, football is a business more than everything else. And you kept it at the sports level into the essence of it. And that's what's remarkable from my perspective. As you said, like I'm both like Inter fan, and I was born and raised as an Inter fan. But being in Paris, I always like been looking at Paris Saint-Germain, and today even more than before probably. But I always been like a huge PSG fan. But my one thing that I remember the best about Ajax, like when like a guy like Bergkamp came to Inter, and I really mean because it was kind of something new, like to have like on my team somebody coming from Holland, and all of a sudden you start like looking at that club, that institution, I would say, because like to me Ajax, it's an institution more than a club, because again, whatever we said before the big names that they came out of this club, and like my first remember of Ajax is this. And I can tell that right now, whenever like there's like the Champions League draws, etc., whenever you have Ajax on your group, you don't feel comfortable, man, because these guys are capable of anything. And the Champions League run 2 years ago like proves it. That generation of talented player did an amazing job, and I'm pretty sure that you are capable of repeating this season after season at the end of the day. So I don't know if like I answer concretely your question, but that's how I see Ajax on first shot.
Great take. Thank you so much, Mike. I will just ask Enrique the same question. Enrique, your take. I mean, you live in Mexico, of course, for the viewers. It's a bit further away, but there have been some Mexicans playing in the Eredivisie. At the beginning, it was more PSV, but now we also have Alvarez. Just wondering, from your perspective, how did you get acquainted with Ajax? What are your memories of Ajax, and how do you see Ajax?
Okay, Juan, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and now to meet Michael also, so we can start, discussing about football. It's a passion that we all three have, and it's great to talk to you and to learn from you guys also, right? In my perspective, I believe or what we know about Ajax has a big correlation with the Dutch national team. Ever since, I don't know if we can chronologically issue some dates or some aspects, like for example, in the World Cup of 1982, when the Dutch team lost the final against Argentina.
You mean 78? 78.
Sorry, I meant 78. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm really
82 was ours.
No, yeah, I'm really sorry. I meant 78. We found out about what the Dutch team was made of, with Johan Cruyff, with the concept of total football, of any player playing any position. That's when the Dutch team came into, Mexico's first stake. Like, we all wanted to play, or we always wanted to watch the national team. So ever since that, we've been following the league. I mean, you might think, or maybe people in Europe might think that Eredivisie is not one of the top leagues, right? But for us, it's a very competitive league. And ever since, like you just mentioned, players from Mexico are it's been easier for them to move to that kind of league. Well, most cable channels like ESPN, like Fox Sports, are more into it. Like, they're broadcasting it more often, right? So we have the chance to see the Eredivisie. We have the chance to see Ajax playing every weekend. And when you see players, one of the top players in the world, coming from Ajax and developing so well in other leagues, it tells you about how much Ajax is offering to the new order of football, right? So if you tell me, I mean, like Michael said, every time you see Ajax playing in the league or in the Champions League, it's going to be tough it's going to be a tough team to defeat, honestly. And that aspect of youth combined with total football, as a discipline, it makes the team be one of the greatest, in my opinion.
Thank you, Enrique. Very nice take as well. Listen, I have another question, right? I will go to Mike for this one. Listen, Mike, in your case, you, of course, have been living for a long time in France, but also you're Italian. And you are also somebody who has been, or you go to Italy every now and then, so you also know a lot about what's going on in Italy. So if I ask you now, because you gave your personal take, now if I would go there and I will say to someone in general, look, I'm an Ajax fan, how people would respond in France and how would people respond in Italy? Is there a resemblance? Is it different? Can you say something about that?
I believe there will be a difference because number one, Italy is okay. I'm not saying this because I'm Italian, but I believe that that's a religion for us. And I when we lived in Mexico, we understood that in Mexico, like to you, Enrique, was like kind of the same. Like it's really part of like your tradition. Every Sunday you go into the stadium. You like in Italy back in the days, morning you were going to church, and afternoon you were going to the stadium, and that was part of like the Sunday routine, you know. And the thing is that for a country of football, it's obvious that there's like maybe much respect for the tradition. There's more knowledge as well. and there's more interest into it because and look at the players that Italy has been grabbing for you guys. I'm talking about Van Basten, Rijkaard, Ibrahimovic, talking about like from the old ones to the most recent ones. And I believe that that connection and that eye that Italy has on the Eredivisie League is way smarter and more accurate than what the one from France could be. That's what I believe. And the connection between like Holland and Ajax in particular with France, it's, I would say, like more discreet, definitely. So to me, there's like a difference of knowledge, understanding, and at one point of respect as well, I believe.
All right. That's great. That's great. Thank you.
I have a delivery coming up.
You have a delivery. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, sure. Enrique, your take. So in Mexico, how do people talk about Ajax? I mean, if you talk about them. And by the way, I'm also wondering something, because a couple of years ago, I remember that when the Mexican players, because there has been a lot of Mexican players playing for PSV, I know PSV was very popular in Mexico. How is that now? Is it still the same, or is it now a bit changing as well? You will find also people, I mean, relating to Ajax a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I was like thinking how to answer to your question as Michael was giving his view on that point. Honestly, the two most watched teams from the Eredivisie are PSV and Ajax. PSV began to be more popular because it was the first team to introduce Mexican players. We can first talk of Salcido and other Chucky Lozano, exactly.
Yeah.
Guardado.
Yeah.
Like I said, most games that were broadcasted were from PSV, right? Mm-hmm. But Ajax has history. I mean, Ajax has been known for many years. Ajax, it's related to Johan Cruyff. Ajax is related to all those great players, from Van Basten to Overmars to Van der Sar. I mean, so many players came from that school of Ajax. So from someone who is a fan of football, you have to know Ajax, right? So maybe new generations are beginning to be a fan or we're beginning to become fans of PSV, you know. But when you take a look at history, there's no comparison between Ajax and PSV in my personal point of view. I mean, PSV is also a great team, but that mentality of youth players, of that strategy of playing football in a whole concept, Ajax definitely goes way beyond PSV.
Listen, just another question to add to this, right? Because now, of course, we have signed Edson Alvarez last year, so he's been playing now for quite some time at Ajax. How do you guys perceive him in Mexico? Does it have a lot more interest from Mexican perspective also because Alvarez is playing at Ajax?
Is it Michael's turn or my turn?
No, your turn. I'm asking you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, since Alvarez began playing at Ajax, and since Lozano moved from PSV to Napoli, when you watch a game every Sunday at ESPN, you will probably watch Ajax. So it was the same thing when Mexican players were playing at PSV. I mean, locally, they would just broadcast those games in which Mexican players were playing, right? So the way I see it right now, I mean, maybe people are getting more into Ajax because of Alvarez, definitely. And since he began to be, in the starting lineup lately and everything, that helped a lot. That helped a lot for people to watch Ajax. If you're asking me if new generations are becoming fans of Ajax, I'm not sure. I don't know. But I mean, Alvarez came from one of the most popular teams in Mexico. He began playing in America, and America, well, is a top team here in Mexico. I hate to say it, but that's true. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are watching Alvarez every Sunday playing in.
So America is your favorite team too, then? Be honest, man. You can be honest. What's your favorite team in Mexico?
Look, you either hate America or love America. Fortunately or lucky for me, I'm one of those people who hate America. So I hate it.
Does it mean that you also don't like Alvarez that much, or am I going too far now?
No, I mean, I'm glad he's playing. I mean, as a Mexican, I'm proud. We don't have so many players abroad, and we don't have that many players in Europe, right? So every time someone has a chance to leave the local league and play somewhere else, it's, I mean, at least me and people who know football, of course, they're glad that we have the chance to prove ourselves outside. So I'm glad he's doing good. I'm glad. I mean, I don't care if he came from America. We had a few talks 6 or 7 months ago, and we agreed on some of the skills and some of the flaws that he had, right?
Correct.
And I don't know. I mean, the last part of the season, I don't know what happened. Maybe his wife and his kid changed the mindset in him, but I'm glad he became what he's turning. I mean, he's gonna help the team. He's gonna help the national team. So I'm glad things turn out for him. Really.
I will touch.
Can I add something to Enrique?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because to me and you just said it, that obviously like there's the background, but then there's the interest of the national team, I believe, in one side, and it's definitely sure that a guy like this, that talented, with whatever he's going to learn in Europe, is going to definitely help the cause and serve the national team. But would you then that was just like to make a side note on what you just said. But I just have a question, because like I remember, and Juan was with me at that time, we were living in Mexico when Rafa Marquez was in Barcelona at that time. And everything was about Rafa Marquez. Everything was about Barcelona. And I was lucky enough to see America against Barcelona at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico when I was there. And I remember like how much of a craziness there was around like Barcelona and Marquez at that time. Would you say that Alvarez is having the same, is becoming the same center of interest as Marquez was? Or if it's not, does he has the potential to become as important as Marquez was for, I would say, like the country in itself?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is. It is a good question. It is a good question. And let's put this into perspective. When Marquez went to Barcelona, there were not so many players from Mexico playing in Europe. I mean, you only had Marquez and maybe, I don't remember, Salcido went to PSV 2 or 3 years later. So it was a big issue for a Mexican player to leave his local league. The problem with Mexico is that players are very comfortable here because they get paid very well. So they don't want to, or they don't like to make that big effort, not earning the big bucks, to move to harder leagues. So when Marquez he first moved to Monaco, and then he became champion there. Yeah, and then he moved to Barcelona. So it was such a big issue, and combined with the part that he was moving to one of the best clubs in the world. I mean, Barcelona, one of the greatest. So that became a big issue. But now you have Alvarez, you have Tecatito, you have Chucky Lozano, you have Herrera. So you have like more players that every time the national team plays, they give you like this confidence that, well, if they are acting or they're playing abroad, they're gonna do something like more in a team to make it worth it, right? Like to play better in the national team. So I think that the perspective back then to now to Alvarez has changed a little bit, Michael.
Okay.
Good, good. Listen,
Thank you.
sorry, Mike.
I was just saying thank you for answering. That's it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good question. It was a good answer. I just want to ask Enrique one more thing. Actually, it's about Alvarez and also how the media is perceiving this. Because you just raised it. So Alvarez was struggling at Ajax. I mean, if you look at only this season, first half of the season, it's been like crazy. He hasn't. I mean, he got chances to play, but he wasn't delivering. He wasn't fitting in the Ajax system. There were a lot of Ajax fans really thinking, why did we buy Alvarez in the first place? And the funny thing is that Alvarez and Ten Hag both were at the other end and saying, no, I mean, Ten Hag was saying maybe he's protecting Alvarez, but he's saying, no, he's doing exactly what I'm telling him to do. Alvarez once said, you know what? I don't know why people are criticizing me because I'm doing what the coach is asking me to do. But then if you see the first half of the season and you look at now, the second half of the season, how he played, it's such a big difference. My question to you is, how was that, if you look at the media in Mexico, how did people talk about Alvarez throughout the season in general? Did they understand that Alvarez was not playing or not playing well at Ajax in the beginning?
Well, the media here was questioning a lot why wasn't he playing. Unfortunately, I mean, we don't see the players every day, you know, on their everyday training, on their conversations with the coach and everything. So we knew he wasn't playing. We didn't. Well, when he got the chance, the few minutes that on each game Ten Hag would put him to play, we could see a lack of maybe not desire, but you know, like that ability to play as a team. I mean, you could see that he was not feeling comfortable there. Honestly, I don't know what exactly happened on that second half of the season. We were always joking about Alvarez and also about Martinez. We couldn't understand how Martinez was not playing in the starting lineup also. Ajax had a hard first season. Different injuries, I don't know, a combination of factors. Ten Hag was also testing with different players. Alvarez also wasn't playing in his original position. We have to also take that into consideration.
Why are you saying that? What is his original position, according to you?
Well, according to me, I mean, he's always been a defender, central defender, or he could also play on one side. But in America, he was always playing, you know, on that part of the defender side, right? On the middle, yeah.
Because Ten Hag said that he can't, because we were arguing, we were also debating a lot among fans. We didn't find him as a prototype midfielder because Ten Hag was using him as a midfielder all the time. And we saw him more as a defender. But the problem with Alvarez is he's not fast enough. And Ajax always plays up high up in the field. So having a slow defender at the back and with Daley Blind, who also is not a very fast defender, that would be an issue. So people were questioning whether he was a midfielder. But then again, he would not fit as a defender for Ajax. But then now, looking at the last 6 months, he has proven everybody wrong. He can play as a midfielder.
Yes. In fact, I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation several times. We had conversations about that issue. And I remember telling you that in my, he was, you know, in the last World Cup, that's where I think Ajax started to scout him, right? And at the beginning, I said, I mean, there are better players than Alvarez that could fit into Ajax system. They're faster. They're like more into the Ajax style.
Curiosity, also for the viewers, out of curiosity, can you mention 2 names that you think would be better fit at that time?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of them, he's actually playing at Monterrey right now. I totally forgot his name, but
That's fine. Okay, who's the other one?
That was a good one.
That's a good
yeah, I
one,
know,
right?
man.
That's a good one. So who's the other one?
And
You forgot the
well,
name.
also there's this guy from Betis that at the beginning was planning to play for Ajax.
Yes.
Um,
Dennis.
yeah, exactly. So he's gonna be playing next year at Europa. He, in my opinion, he had the skills, or he had the what it takes to play at Ajax. He chose to.
Yeah, he chose for Betis, exactly. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, because I'm not like I definitely don't have like the same knowledge of you guys that you have on Alvarez, but to me, the fact that the guy is flexible enough to be central defender, side defender, and at the end of the day, midfielder, proves as well how much of options you have with the guy like this. On one side, I'm going to say everything and his opposite. On one side, you would say like, okay, he's an average guy in every position without being exceptional in one particular position. But then he's a guy that can cover multiple positions on the pitch, and he can definitely help even more. Like the team, you have somebody injured, somebody with the red card in the middle of the game. You have like multiple cases scenario that can happen in the middle of the game, and to me, Alvarez, number one, has extremely good feet, and he knows how to play with the ball. That's my personal opinion, and you can tell that, like technically talking, he's skilled, and he has like a skill that to me is higher than the average. That's number one, and number two, I believe a lot in the fact that the next generations of football players, they have to adapt more and more. I don't want to take it to into of PSG where like I might be more comfortable. But you take a guy like Marquinhos. Marquinhos was born as a central defender, and for the first 6 months of this season, he plays as a midfielder with success. And then now he's back in the central defender because we have like a gap there. We have a hole that we need to fill in with him. So Alvarez to me is, I would say, I won't say prototype, but it's like it could be like the identikit of like the future generation of football players being able to play within a triangle, but in all basically position of that triangle, being efficient at the same time. Because fine is not fast, and I give you this, but it can solve situations with his feet. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're playing soccer with your feet, and that helps a lot,
Yeah, that's true. That's
true. And I would also like to add that that's something that Tentax saw. I mean, we have to give him credit for that.
Absolutely.
So week after week, he would receive insults. He would receive any kind of comments about why putting Alvarez to play in that position. So he proved us wrong. He showed us that. I mean, Alvarez was every week training to play all those positions, to play that area, and well, he just showed all of us that he's capable of doing that. He's not fast. I remember now that I'm sorry. That this player, Gallardo, I love Gallardo. He's really good with the ball, but he's fast.
The one from Monterrey, you mean? The one from Monterrey?
He's the one from Monterrey. Yeah, Jesus Gallardo. He's really good.
What is his position? Where does he play?
He plays left side. Defender left. Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. But
wait a minute. So you think he would be a perfect substitute, maybe, because we're looking for somebody to substitute Tagliafico, because rumors are that Tagliafico might leave in the summer.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to Inter, my friend.
I don't know. I think he has a chance to go there.
How old is Gallardo?
Gallardo is young. He's probably Alvarez's age. He's what, 23, 24, I think. Okay. Yeah, he's that age. And well, I mean, he has a big mindset, and he's also really good with the ball.
All right.
So
So I will call after our talk. I will call Van der Sar and Overmars.
do that, man.
Give them the
Do
heads up.
that.
It will be fine. Anyways,
Please
guys, I want to just finish off.
If also if Michael can also call Inter for the
no, that's fine. That's fine.
I want Tagliafico.
All right, so guys, I just want to ask Mike one more thing, and then we'll just finish off quickly. Mike, the same question basically that I asked Enrique, but a little bit different, of course, because we don't have a French guy, well, except for maybe Haller, but we don't have a French guy and an Italian player playing for us at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. So from a media perspective, from a football pundits, if you look at the Italians or the French guys, how do they talk about Ajax in general? I mean, I know this season we played against Lille, who are now champions. Sorry for that, but they're the champions. And
I'm out.
no, I'm joking. But listen, but we eliminated Lille, and I thought Lille was a very tough opponent in the Europa League. How did people see that? And how did people think also 2 years ago when we eliminated Juventus with Ronaldo at that time?
So number one, you have an Italian player in the squad because Tagliafico has an Italian passport.
Come on. Okay, that's a good one. All right, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Number two, I'll do anything to trade Tagliafico to Inter.
Really? You like him so much?
I'm telling you, I always told you, like, to me, Tagliafico, I mean, he has been like that generation back 2 years ago. He has been one of the revelations for me. And he's definitely, to me, underrated. I believe in this guy. Is an extremely good player. He has the vision, he has feet, he has physical, he's fast. I don't know. This guy is complete, honestly. I don't know which are the new rumors in Holland about him.
Leeds United. There has been some talks about maybe Barcelona, but yeah, we'll see.
Small squads, small teams.
We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. But he's ready to leave, and honestly, Ajax will also be prepared to let him go for a good price. So they're not going to ask,
So, and then to answer your question, yeah, I mean, your question kind of like links with the one that you asked me at the beginning, because again, like Ajax, when they played against Lille, it's always that you always that feeling like, okay, we're playing Ajax. And, if we're feeling it as fans, I'm pretty sure that the players, they're feeling it the same way. It may be like 10 times bigger than us because they're like, okay, this is Ajax in front of us. With like that red and white jersey and like all the history behind and whatever Ajax represents into the football universe. To be honest with you, like there's something that Enrique said before that I actually kind of agree that the Eredivisie is underrated as well in a way to me because they don't talk enough about it, and it's not necessarily understandable because you have talented players, great generation of kids like coming out from the youth academies, teams with a name and with a history behind. Of course, Ajax, we're talking about this one, but we have like other teams that are like competitive as well, I believe, in the Eredivisie, and definitely it's underrated. So then it's always that the attention from the medias, they go to the single players, and the league, for instance, in the Juventus, has taken a lot of attention since he joined. I mean, obviously, like as much as Enrique hates America, I hate Juventus 10 times more. But I have to admit that this guy is doing a remarkable career since he joined Italy, and especially in the fact of being able to adapt himself so fast in such a period of time, like super short, in a defensive system, which is really complicated because Juventus has the tradition of playing with like three defenders and having like the two side midfielders like coming back and going like back and forth. And I'm not sure that was the tradition, and it's not the tradition in Ajax. And being able to that fast pick up the mechanism of this and being together with Chiellini, Bonucci, those kind of guys. I've been playing soccer forever in a system of three defenders. You need to be smart, not just to be talented. You need to be smart, and most importantly, that's where you see like how is the tradition of soccer. And when Enrique was mentioning like the tall football, I think that it can be this as well. being able to prepare a gentleman, a player, to a reality which is different than the one that he grew up with. And that's the difference between like extremely talented and extremely smart players versus guys which are like good, but as long as they're out of the comfort zone, they're lost, you know? And so I would say, like, to answer completely your question, that again, Ajax, it's Ajax. Nobody's gonna touch that the notoriety, the tradition, and the image that they have. But then it might be more either around one generation of players, 2 years ago, for instance, either around like singles, like the league, for instance, which is taking a lot of attentions in Italy.
Guys, I can feel it, man. I can. You want to subscribe.